This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
What if an appliance emergency didn't have to be? If your appliances suddenly decided they were done, don't stress. Best Buy has you covered with a wide variety of major appliances from trusted brands, in stock and available now. So you don't have to worry about laundry piling up, refilling the fridge, or that big dinner party you're hosting. Because Best Buy has the knowledge and expertise to get you the right appliance for your home. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Got a car to sell but no time to waste? Hop on to Carvana.com to get a real offer for your car in seconds. All you have to do is enter your license plate, answer a few quick questions, and if you accept the offer, Carvana will pay you as soon as you hand the keys over. They even offer same-day pickup in many cities. Save your time, score some cash, and sell your car the convenient way to Carvana. Pickup times vary. Fees may apply.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Your burger is served, and this is our finest Pepsi Zero Sugar. Its sweet profile perfectly balances the savory notes of your burger.
That is one perfect combination. Burgers deserve Pepsi.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts.
Phillip Wilson, welcome to the conversation today.
Yeah, thanks, John.
It's a real pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from a hotel room in Washington, D.C. today, though normally you work out of Oklahoma. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah, and today we're going to be talking about the red flags that a leadership crisis is on the horizon for your organization. A really fun topic. We were kind of joking in the pre-interview, perhaps the current landscape, political, social, organizational landscapes, that we find ourselves in today is is ripe for this kind of a conversation, more so than in recent history. So I'm excited to unpack this topic with you, to have a chance to really explore and to think about, what are these red flags? Why do we need to be paying attention? What does it mean for ourselves, for our teams, for our organizations? What can we do about it? I think all of that's going to be make for a really fun conversation. As we get started, I wanted to share Phillip's bio with everybody. Phillip B. Wilson is the founder of Approachable Leadership, where he and his team help clients thrive and create extraordinary workplaces.
With a Venmo debit card, you can Venmo more than just your friends. You can use your balance in so many ways. You can Venmo everything. Need gas? You can Venmo this. How about snacks? You can Venmo that. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more.
You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo.
The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want, like that dream house or ride, is a great feeling. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you save when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
He is a national expert on leadership, labor relations, and creating positive workplaces. Phil is the author of several books and articles, including Left of Boom, reached #2 on Amazon's Hot HR Books, the Approachability Playbook, and the Leader Shift Playbook, 4 simple changes to score big and unleash your team's potential. He is regularly featured in the business media, including Fox Business Network, Fast Company, Bloomberg News, HR Magazine, and the New York Times. Wilson regularly delivers keynotes, workshops, and webinars, and has been called to testify before Congress as a labor relations expert. He graduated magna cum laude from Augustana College in Rock Island, Illinois, and went on to earn his Juris Doctorate from the University of Michigan Law School. What a wonderful background. I could go on, so many achievements and accolades, but I'm going to pause there. Anything you would like to highlight by way of your background and personal context before we dive on in?
Those are the highlights. Our the book, that last book, the Leadership Playbook, actually comes out. So we're recording on March 31st. So April 1st, tomorrow, no fooling. That's the launch of the book. So super excited to, I told you that you're my last interview, I think, before launch day. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, this topic is really timely, really important. Leadership today, I think there are certainly principles of leadership that transcend time and context, but leadership today is certainly a different beast than perhaps, especially organizationally, than perhaps, a generation ago. The day-to-day, issues that a leader might face, my parents' generation compared to today, I just think the world is so complex, so messy. Things are changing so rapidly. The need to be agile, to pivot so quickly, and then you just have the ever shifting geopolitical, socioeconomic landscape that's happening all around us. Hyper competitive nature of the global workforce and everything. It's just crazy, right? And so within that context, we're asking more and more and more of leaders in organizations, not just senior leaders, not just like CEOs and C-suite executives. I'm talking about like middle managers all the way down to like line level supervisors. We're kind of expecting so much of everybody. And yet we don't really train them. They just kind of find themselves in positions, and all of a sudden we expect them to like be able to like invest in and work well with the whole human that is all the people on their teams. And it, how do we handle this? Because the reality is we need better leaders than ever before. yet we don't really have any better trainings, or
Hmm.
any better support systems for leaders, really. And
They're worse than ever. I mean, we don't
yeah,
invest in leaders at all. So that's the group I'm the most passionate about is a first level leader. And John, I mean, you know this, but the normal thing that happens these days is you promote a high performer, someone who shows up for work, maybe been there for a little while. That's who becomes the new supervisor. And you mentioned like the global talent labor pool, there people are moving constantly.
yeah,
And so you end up, and this is just people build this into their system. You hire or you promote this high performer. You don't teach them anything about being a good leader. They basically land in this position of power, going, nobody here is anywhere close to as good as I was because I was the highest performer. Um, I was standing right next to these folks earlier, so they don't necessarily really like respect me other than I used to be a high performer, but now they think I'm a jerk because I just see everything that they do wrong.
right.
Um, and you end up with a worse performing department because you just pulled one of your high performers out and a department that is now basically led by someone that everyone thinks is a jerk. And you have built that into your system. So you replicate that over and over and you're guaranteed to have a terrible culture. So it's a crisis in leadership. And then, John, your other point, we're also asking that same person, that same first level leader, to supervise like twice as many people as you might have, 4 or 5 years ago. And so it's just an incredibly challenging environment for new developing leaders, and then even for middle management and upper management. It's they're now leading this cadre of leaders, so it's a very challenging environment.
Well, yeah, and yeah, predates the pandemic, but especially during the pandemic,
Hmm.
all of
Hmm.
a sudden we're like, we need more empathetic leaders. We need leaders who can invest in the emotional
Yeah.
and mental health, well-being of their people, and like all these different layers that, for the most part, we weren't really talking about a whole lot
Hmm.
before that, and especially kind of lower level leaders.
Yeah.
And now we're expecting them to be able to do all of that. They never got trained on
Without
any of that
training
kind of
them.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, being a leader today is as challenging as it's ever been, and we are investing probably as little as we ever have in building up that group, especially that frontline leader.
Yeah, so you already mentioned, some of those red flags. There are
Mm.
many, many red flags that may manifest, but perhaps one of the biggest in my mind, is just a lack of trust. Trust is the foundation upon which almost everything is built, and if when you promote that person, a high performer, Peter principle is
Yeah.
the terminology people may have heard of. I think of The Office and Michael Scott. You got
Mhm.
the salesperson. He's promoted into his level of incompetence. Now he's the manager of the office. He doesn't know what the heck he's doing, and it's comical, because that's why everyone watches the show, to watch this bumbling idiot walk around not knowing what to do and all the dumb things he does. Right? In that show, it's comical, but most of the time it's not comical. It's like
Mhm.
beating your head against a brick wall because you're so frustrated because you have this jerk who thinks they're amazing because they were promoted because they were awesome, and they don't realize how bad they are in their new role, right? And
Mhm.
so often, the trust just isn't there because unless you have someone who was, promoted into this new role, maybe reluctantly, they have a level of humility, they've built relationships with their people, and so they've developed some trust, and they carry that trust with them into the new position. A lot of times those people don't know how to develop that trust, and so they start off on the wrong foot, and they don't know how to build it, and it just they start off in the with bad momentum, and they never build it, right?
My book is dedicated to these first level leaders, but part of the story that I tell is my own leadership journey over the last
Mm.
5 years, and it starts. It's funny you bring up Michael Scott. I even mentioned him early
Yeah.
on, but the book starts with me on what's called the top of Mount Stupid, and Mount Stupid. If you've ever seen the Dunning-Kruger
Mm.
chart, you start here where you don't know anything and you know that you don't know anything, and then the next stop is the top of Mount Stupid, which is where you think you know something, but you actually don't know anything. And I tell the story of a woman that I worked with for over a decade in my own company that I was the leader of. And I was running around the country teaching people all over the country about being leaders and talking about my last book. And I offered her a position to essentially be the COO, what's called the integrator in our company. We run on a system called EOS. And I asked Debbie if she would be my integrator. And I'm thinking I'm offering her this big promotion. And Debbie tells me, Phil, I don't know how to say this, but I told your dad that he cannot retire until I'm ready to retire because I will never work for you. And so that's a red flag, John. One of the red flags of leadership. And I was fortunate. Debbie's a special person, and she wasn't. She just tells you what she thinks. Not a lot of people are like that. Most people, when dealing with someone in a higher power relationship, will avoid that conversation.
Yeah.
And so there's kind of two red flags there. The first red flag is if people are giving you feedback like that, that's a red flag that you've been doing something wrong. And what I've been doing wrong was really not trusting my team. I was, the chief bottleneck. Everything had to go through me. Nothing was good unless I had my hands in it, and that created a lot. We were actually culturally, I think people would say we're a family company, and we were a family company. We had a lot of people that worked there a long time, but we were dysfunctional as a team because of my behavior. And so you have to be the kind of person that's willing to, first of all, receive feedback like that. I think Debbie felt safe telling me that. I think she would have told me that even if she didn't feel safe, but she did, and thank goodness. So we had a conversation about that, and we worked through that. She did ultimately accept this role, but a big part of that was I had to basically do just the role that I was supposed to do and stay in the box in the what we call the accountability chart, but stay in my box. And the team now knows that they can tell me at any time, "Hey, Phil, go get back in your box." But that's you have to be the kind of leader that can accept feedback like that. And so the red flag for anyone that's listening or watching, if nobody is giving you feedback like that, if no one is telling you anything that feels like bad news, that's a red flag. You should be getting feedback that hurts every once in a while. And if you're not, then you're not the kind of person that people feel safe coming to and talking to. So that's one important red flag. And then the sort of the flip side of that is even if you are in an environment where you are safe to your own team. So do you ever have conversations where you're kind of going into it with a little bit of a pit in your stomach about this might be a tough conversation? If you don't have that feeling very often, then you're also not doing it right.
Yeah, yeah. And it's hard, so part of it's ego, we get elevated into these roles and we think, oh, we're special, we're smart, we're so capable. We're the people come to us, we solve their problems, we're the hero. So some of that's ego driven, some of it's just a natural, maybe a desire to help. There's a variety of things that can be going on there, but it's really hard to, once you find yourself in those positions, it's hard to accept the negative feedback, and it's easy to fall into the trap or to drink the Kool-Aid of thinking that everything you do is good. You're surrounded by sycophants a lot of times, like people who want to just tell you the good stuff. Sometimes it's because they fear what you might do if they tell you the bad things, but a lot of times it's just because they're sucking up to you, or that they want to ride your coattails, or like there's a bunch of reasons why they only tell you the good stuff, right? And so you really have to really fight for good quality, sincere feedback from people, and not just accept the platitudes that people might give you, and realize that, yeah, you're doing lots of good stuff, right? But there are things that you're doing that probably aren't great too. And that's how we all grow.
I like to think of it as, so, the service that you're providing as a leader is leadership, right? The service that you're providing the product, so to speak, is your leadership to your team. And so if you aren't doing customer service surveys to your team on a regular basis, the same way you would to your customers, and going like, how's my leadership going? What am I doing that you like? What am I doing that you wish I would stop doing? What else can I do to be a better leader for you? That is the job of a leader. And so if you just think of it as a customer service survey, but you should be regularly having that conversation with your team. It is not a once a year conversation. It's an all the time conversation. Please give me feedback to help me get better. And if you can't really get into that zone as a leader, and you just talked, John, about, if all you hear is people agreeing with you and good news, that's another sign that you're doing something wrong. People should disagree with you. If like everybody only agrees with you, trust me, you are not the smartest person on earth that only says correct things. That's a sign, that's a sign that people don't feel safe bucking you. And people that are like that are a gift. You should be encouraging that as much as you can.
Yeah. And also, yeah, and another reason people depend, and particularly depending on where you're at, like I'm in Utah, culturally people tend to be kind of passive aggressive. Like people
Yeah.
don't want to say negative things, they want to be positive. People are nice. I think of like Southern hospitality, the Southern nice, same kinds of things, right? So depending on where you are too, like sometimes people just, you really gotta fight for it, pull it out of people
Yeah.
sometimes. And yeah, so like you said, just work for that. Really, really important. What are some of the other red flags that you see on a regular basis?
I think like the other, so I mean there's some really obvious ones, right? People leave your team like that,
Yeah.
what
The
turnover is.
carnage,
Yeah,
the
right,
carnage
right.
that some leaders leave in their wake, right?
Yeah. I mean, if people are leaving your team and you keep trying to come up with, positive excuses for why that's happening, like that's a red flag. I also think, if you only hear about, crises, you never hear about the molehill, you only hear about the mountain. That's another sign that people don't feel comfortable coming to you when they're afraid that you're going to kill the messenger. And so then
Mm,
the only time that they finally show up is when, okay, this is so out of hand. I don't know what to do to handle this. I'm going to have to tell my boss. Well, if you get that feeling of why aren't people telling me stuff until it blows up, you're the reason. If people aren't getting different roles, if they aren't learning new skills, if they aren't getting better and progressing and growing, that's a red flag. You should be regularly, people should be moving. And sometimes if you're a big organization, they should be moving out of your team. It's very common once you kind of get a good performing team. If you are a weak leader, you just want to keep that team. You don't want anybody to poach off that team. You don't want any other people talking to that group. That's a weak leader. If no one is leaving your team and no one is growing, and if you're a smaller company, that might mean people leaving your company. Like they
mhm.
need to grow somewhere else. But that's a sign. That's another red flag of a weak leader.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just thinking of so many examples of people, that I experience on a regular basis or I've seen in my past. And again, it's sometimes, we think of the real big toxic person that we've experienced.
Mhm.
And we've probably all had that, like the big, real, just toxic jerk boss,
Mhm.
and I've had those, some of the worst people I've ever experienced in my life. They're just like narcissists, the worst people ever, right? But most of the time, what you're talking about isn't that. I mean,
No.
most of the time, they're just regular people. They're regular people that just wake up every day, show up to work. They're trying to do the best they know how, and they don't have nefarious intent, and they're not trying to cause harm or hurt anybody. But they just don't know any better,
Or
or
they're scared, right?
they're
Like,
scared. They just want some level of normalcy. They want some level of
mhm.
stability, right? Just like we all do.
Yeah.
And because of that, they end up trying to hold on, and it ends up causing more problems than, the good that they're perhaps trying to create.
Yeah. I talk about in the book, I talk about these four shifts, but the second shift is believe in yourself. And the belief in yourself is this idea that, you want to be great. Like you have what it takes to be a good leader, and your growth and development as a leader matters to everybody around you. You have like ripples that go far, far beyond what you think. And it's really easy for us as leaders to kind of talk ourselves into what I do doesn't matter, especially these
Mm.
first level leaders that we just talked about, or mid managers. It's super easy to talk yourself into this box of, I don't really have that much influence. I can't really change things very much. And you are the most important person in the lives of the people around you. And
Right.
every word you say and every way you behave impacts those people every single day. And if you don't get your head wrapped around that, and that you are not just you're there for this one part of their life, but they will be talking about you the rest of their lives. And like what are they going to say? What's their belief going to be about you? And sort of stepping into that, that's the first step to being a great leader, is to kind of owning your impact.
Yeah, it's like the saying goes, you can work for the best organization,
Mhm.
but have the worst boss, and your life is going to be miserable. You can
Yeah.
work for the worst organization and have the best boss, and they'll insulate you and be a buffer, and you could have the best job ever and just love
Mhm.
going to work every day, right?
Yep.
And so your
Even if the
boss,
rest of the company is a train wreck, like
exactly,
you
like
still
so.
love your team, right?
Yeah, so your direct boss matters so much. The leader
Mhm.
of your team matters so much. I think
Yeah.
of the biggest disasters that we study all the time in business schools, like the Enrons of the world,
Mhm.
all of these places. You could literally work for the worst company ever, with the
Mhm.
most toxic culture, all the worst possible things happening. If you happen to be in the bubble that where there's just a good boss that's protecting you, and you have this little bubble of a good team and a good culture, you
Mhm.
know, things are good. Life is good, right?
Uh, the culture, I like to say, like the culture is not a page on your website. It's not a poster. Culture is literally your relationship with your immediate boss. That is what the culture is. Now, if you're a great company, then everybody's relationship with their immediate boss has this similar feel and similar
Yeah.
vibe. And if you're a terrible company, then probably that's not the case, but you still will have these pockets where the culture is strong, and that's because you've got leaders that have strong relationships. That's the fourth shift that I talk about in the book, is belief in your relationships, but that is the culture, is your immediate relationship with your team and your team's immediate relationship with you. That's the culture.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Phil, this has just been a really great conversation. We've only scratched the surface. There's so much more we could talk about. I do note the time. I probably need to let you go. Before
Mhm.
we wrap things up for today, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, where they can find your new book, and then leave us with the final word for today.
Yeah. So easiest place to learn more about the book is yourleadershift.com. Just all one word, yourleadershift.com. You can find the book on Amazon or anywhere else that you buy books. Just put in the Leadership Playbook. That'll get you there. So that's kind of the easiest place to connect. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. That's just LinkedIn/PB Wilson. That's my LinkedIn handle. But those are the easiest ways to connect. And yeah, please, if you're interested, if you don't want to buy the book, if you want to try before you buy, if you go to yourleadership.com, you can get an excerpt of the book and decide whether or not you want to dig in any deeper. But that's probably the best place to go. I guess for last word, a big part. So this book was originally titled The Hero Assumption, and then
Mm.
my editor did not like that title. So the book, but a big part of the book is this idea of the hero assumption. And you even mentioned earlier, John, this idea of like the hero mentality. What the hero assumption is talking about is, as leaders, we don't have the luxury of any other belief other than our teammates want to be great. That they
Right.
don't get up in the morning brushing their teeth, looking in the mirror, going, I can't wait to go screw up today. Like they want to do great work. And if you as a leader make that assumption, what happens is it completely changes. And you don't need a fancy leadership class. If you're just believe that, really believe it, your words will be different. The reaction that you have when something is going wrong will be different. All of the things that would encourage someone to grow and to learn and to make sure that they feel safe because they know you've got their back, they know that you believe in them. All of that basically happens if you just make that one. It's a fundamental core shift. But if you believe that everyone wants to be great, it'll change your game as a leader.
Yeah, I completely believe that as well. That simple mindset shift just changes the way you interact with people, right? It's fundamental. Phil, thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Phil can do for you. Check out the book. As always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.